Welcome to Kubernetes Objects. In this lecture, you will learn about important Kubernetes objects such as pod, replica set, deployment, service, and ingress. A pod is the basic unit of work in Kubernetes. It's a group of one or more containers with shared storage and network. If you look at the diagram, every pod has more than one container. Replica set. The purpose of the replica set is to maintain a stable set of replica pods running at any given time. Look at the diagram. In this replica set, I mentioned two replicas for the given pod Apache. If one of the pod fails, the replica set will look for the desired state and create a new pod automatically. It is used to guarantee the availability of a specified number of identical pods. Deployment. Deployment is an object that manages replica set. The deployment can hold pointers to multiple replica set, so it can control the slow and safe migration from one replica set to another. Look at the diagram. One deployment holds multiple replica set, and each replica set has its own pods. Deployments can also be scaled in Kubernetes. DaemonSet. A DaemonSet ensures that all worker nodes run a copy of a pod. Pods are schedulable, but some pods you want to keep it at the worker node. For example, if you have a logging pod, you don't want to schedule the logging pod, you want to pin them to a specific worker node. So you can consider DaemonSet as a machine agent that handle standard IT operations. Look at the diagram. I have a storage DaemonSet, logging, and monitoring DaemonSet on each worker node. Service. The IP address of the pod is fmirror. When the pod gets destroyed, it will lose its IP address and create a new one. So you cannot configure an outside connectivity to a pod directly. That's where the service comes in place. Service has a static IP address and it holds definition for every pod that comes behind. The outside load balancer or DNS point to the IP address of the service. The IP address can be also called as cluster IP, which is used to connect the external traffic to pods. Ingress. Ingress object is one of the Kubernetes objects that facilitate communication between the outside load balancer and the services. Now, Ingress controller is a load balancer. It may be Nginx, Fabric IP, Azure load balancer. The Ingress object is act as a broker between service and the Ingress controller. It allows HTTP and HTTPS traffic to services running in the cluster. Persistence volume. A persistence volume is a piece of storage that has been provisioned by an administrator. Look at the diagram. The administrator provisions a persistence volume in the storage class. Then he binds it. For example, if an administrator allocates 1 terabyte of storage, then the developer can go and claim a piece of it based upon their roles. Here, the developer can go and create a persistence volume claim and use it for the pod. A persistence volume claim is a request for storage by a user. It is similar to a pod. Pod consumes node resources and PVC consumes persistence volume resources, that is the storage class. Next, Kubernetes market.